Welcome to ACL UK.
Where there is normal and the paranormal becomes normal. So sit back and enjoy.
Let's go! So let the journey begin.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, action.
Hello, welcome to today's show. I always struggle with that. Too many T's. I apologise for the background noise. I am currently on holiday. We're in a caravan and the walls are like wafer thin. And these people have just decided to stand outside the window and have a conversation. So I do apologise about that. It's just me tonight, but I have an amazing guest with me who is Sheilava. Now, I interviewed her a couple of months back. She's an actress, singer, songwriter, producer. But you then proceeded to tell me that you'd had paranormal encounters. So tonight we're going to be talking about that. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me again.
My pleasure. So just before we start, I'm just going to say a few hellos to people in the chat. I just need to drink this. It's so hot. It's like sitting in the sun. I'm so hot.
Imagine being in.
Oh, no, I couldn't. It's bad enough in the UK.
Yeah.
So we've got Joe, Joanne, Fred, Blue Shift, Stuart, Daniel. What else have we got? Sober, Grasshopper, Elaine, and they're all the ones I can see. So thank you everyone for coming on. So sorry about that. Yeah, so you're going to be talking about growing up in a Catholic household whilst having paranormal encounters. Is that correct?
You cut off. I didn't hear the first thing you said. Growing up where?
In a Catholic household?
Yes.
So you have a Catholic background, don't you? So I know it's a little bit more like frowned upon sort of thing, isn't it?
I mean, yes, it's not something that's considered normal.
No.
It's also not something that I, ever imagined or asked for. It just happened.
Yeah. So do you want to start with how it all kicked off? Like the first thing that you can remember that was like a personal account for you?
Yeah, so the very first one that I remember was at my grandmother's house in New Mexico in Rio Rancho, which is just outside of Albuquerque. And gosh, I don't remember how young I was. I want to say maybe in between middle school and high school age, somewhere in there. And I remember brother and I always stay in the den, which had like all these toys and books and like a little pair of bunk beds there. I think I was there that summer, maybe to learn how to sew. It was something, we'd go visit New Mexico every summer. And I think I was there by myself with my grandmother. It wasn't my brother and I at the time or my whole family. It was just me and my grandmother. And I'm pretty sure she was teaching me how to sew.
Yeah.
And it's not like I was ever into paranormal anything. It's, again, this just happened just out of the blue. I remember waking up in the middle of the night and feeling like very cold, like frozen to the core. I'm on the bottom bunk of these bunk beds, and I could not sleep. I was just so cold. Reminder that this is the middle of the summer in Albuquerque, Rio Rancho area of New Mexico. so it's the desert. And I'm just freezing cold.
Yeah.
I couldn't I couldn't get comfortable. I couldn't go back to sleep. I just kept tossing and turning and tossing and turning. At one point I opened my eyes and it was black, but I could see kind of like very faint moonlight coming through the blinds, because the blinds were closed, but just kind of like the glow.
Yeah.
I was just staring at that for a minute, just like, I can't go back to sleep. I'm so cold. And then all of a sudden I get chills, just like a wave of chills on top of being cold. And something just freezes me. I can't really describe it other than just like an energy. Freezes me emotionally and mentally. And I see this black mass. Again, it's dark, but I see like an even darker black mass, like cross this against the window, cross it very, 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 very slowly. And again, I'm like, I'm already cold. I couldn't sleep. I immediately am covered in chills. I'm just frozen to the core. I see this black mass and I'm just shaking. And again, I don't know how to explain it. I'm looking at it. I'm watching it. It's kind of like a shadow or like some sort of figure. And then just out of nowhere, I see these red eyes just stare out of the sky. Yeah. Again, Catholic upbringing. So, I went to CCD, which is catechism, like Catholic school, whole childhood. And, we're taught to pray the rosary. We're taught like anything you're feeling, anything you're dealing with, pray about it. And then any bit of shame, guilt, like if you've ever sinned or if you've ever thought about sinning, you pray the rosary, you go through it. Yeah. So all I knew what to do then, because I was just like, oh my gosh, that must be a demon, I immediately turned over and I just started praying the rosary. As soon as I finished going through the whole rosary, I finally opened my eyes and I turned back and I didn't see anything. So that was the very first encounter. And again, can't explain it. Don't know what it was. Still to this day, it's something that I couldn't explain. And it's not necessarily that it was like in a negative way, a negative presence. Yeah. It's just the feeling of like the temperature in the air changing, me being frozen, feeling that kind of fear of the unknown. Looking back now, I wouldn't say necessarily that is frightening, but at the time it was, just because I didn't.
Yeah. So did you speak to anyone about it?
Not right away.
Your brother or any other family members? Just kept it to yourself?
Kept it to myself. I think the first time I ever told anybody about it, just it might have been a few years later, my boyfriend. And only because we had seen something together. Again, like
right,
could not explain it. And in that moment, we were both like hyperventilating, like how.
Yeah,
right?
just trying to work it all out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was my next experience. Was a few years later after we both started bawling in that moment. We both calmed down, and I'm like, this isn't the first time something like this has happened, and that's when I opened up. But again, it's not something I would have thought would have been acceptable to A, talk about, B, open up about, because unfortunately with a lot of just like Catholicism or religion in general, there's a lot of assuming, there's a lot of I would say almost like passive aggressive judgment, how people respond to what you're feeling, what you're going through. I'm not saying everybody's like that. I have tons of religious people in my life that are kind, and dear, and wholly loving, like wholly accepting. But in the moment when you're going through something that's not normal, or something that might also be considered evil by certain people, like you're not immediately thinking, I should tell everybody. So I didn't.
Well, there is that. So because it's like, it's like my first encounter. I didn't tell anyone for at least 20 years after it happened, but I just didn't feel the need that I needed to tell anyone. So that's what I was thinking. Like, I was getting the same impression from you. That's how you felt.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm very, especially when I was younger, very, very bubbly, bright, energetic,
Yeah.
just always like excited for everything kind of personality. And then to have something that's so like opposite feeling, right? Just like stuck and cold and frozen and haunting
Yeah.
almost. Maybe inside I was holding my own judgment against myself. Like, are you imagining this? Thinking this? Like, what's going on with you? Wondering like what's happening.
Yeah, because you doubt yourself straight away. When you realise what it is, I think you start doubting yourself straight away. And then it's like you said, did it really happen? Did he imagine it? Was he overthinking? Was he dreaming?
Yes.
And you go through all of them, and I think you get to the point where, no, I know what I'm seeing. I was there. Just because nobody else was there doesn't mean to say it didn't happen. You know what you encountered and what you witnessed. And
Right.
I think that's the baseline for everything, is that you know that it actually happened.
Yeah, and you actually mentioned dreaming. That's another big piece of it for me, is because I dream so vividly every single night, to the point where, like, in the past, I've had full-fledged symphonies just like
Wow.
born out of nothingness in my sleep, and I'll wake up and be like, I need to write this down somehow. Or, a lot of songs I've written came from dreams, and I'll wake up at 3:30 in the morning and like, here we go, let me write this down. Because if you don't like stop, not necessarily stop the dream, but if you wake up from the dream and you don't immediately write it down or put that idea, that dream, that thought onto paper, you're surely going to forget it in the morning. But because I have so many vivid dreams almost on a nightly basis, whether they're, good dreams or creative dreams or bad dreams or jumbly, they make no sense dreams, I have them so often. So I'm very familiar with like, okay, this is a dream. I wake up and this first experience I described to you was not like that. It was, I could not sleep. I could not, or go back to sleep. I was so cold. I was just stuck. And like, when I finally opened my eyes and I turned over and I seen the moonlight, kind of the glow through the window, I'm wide awake. So it's like, I was definitely not dreaming, which, fun.
You know yourself what's gone on and what's real and what's not. But did you, I know I asked, did you share it with anyone, but did it ever happen again in that building, at that location?
In your grandmother's house?
Yeah.
Never again in her house, no.
No.
I'm trying to think. I don't think anything else, inexplicable or paranormal ever happened like that in her house. And now that like I think about it, any little instance I've had, any experience I've had, I feel like it's been in a different place every single time.
Yeah. Right. So do you think, I know you've not spoke about any of the others yet, but do you think there's a connection to what you've encountered, what's gone on and when it's happened and how it's happened?
So I'm a very open and receptive. I have that kind of energy, right? Where if I'm around people and they're feeling really down, whether I can explain it or I immediately start feeling down. Like I feel
empath.
Yeah, and that word, like I used to love that word, and now you see everybody saying that, and it's like, okay, well, maybe to an extent everybody's an empath, right? But then you hear people say that about like, oh yeah, everybody is a little bit autistic, and it kind of takes away that definition or what that word truly means to somebody who's one extreme end
who's fully there.
I think maybe I've been hesitant to like call myself that or acknowledge it even at all, but I can describe it as like I'm around really positive people, and I'm just like, I'm a light, right? Everything up in me. I'll be, in stressful situations and everybody's going really fast or working really fast, and I immediately start getting stressed out too. And so when I think back, like, these experiences I've had, I try and think back, like, well, what was I going through at the time? Was this thing, a result of how I was feeling? Like, is
Yeah.
there, in that opposite regard, right? Where I'm around people, I'm feeling what they're feeling. When I'm either alone or in a situation with me and one other person, and we have this encounter, is this a
Yeah.
result of what we're feeling? And that's what kind of opens us up and like freaks me out in a cool way.
Yeah.
And I like to compare it to, sometimes that feeling you get when the weather completely changes, like when there's a cold front. You feel
Yeah.
that physically, like, oh, it's colder outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There's something about your energy that changes too. It's the same when it's like super early in the morning versus super late at night. It affects us. It affects, our body. It affects our mind. It affects our mood sometimes, and we can't
Yeah.
explain it. Like I feel like energy, in its purest form, and types of energy we don't understand or can't explain. That's kind of what I equate.
Yeah. No, I get that, because a few people have explained that to me before, and what you've just said, that's how they feel when they've had, not. It's not even when they've got stuff going on. It could be like 3, 4, even like a couple of weeks later, and they've still got some different like energy shift going on. So they don't know whether whatever happened is still like lingering,
It's still present.
or it's coming. Yeah, or it's coming back to start again.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe the other reason that's how I wrap my mind around that, as it being almost like a receptive energy, either as a result of or the cause of how I'm feeling or what's happening around me that I can't really explain. I think it takes fear out of it, right? Because I've had these experiences here and there with the unknown or with paranormal instances, and I don't immediately imagine, oh, there's a big scary monster out there after me. It's more so like, what is this presence, or what is this being, and why did I see it? Why did I feel it? It's more of a curiosity based incident, I think.
Yeah. So going from that first encounter that you had to the one, I don't know, sorry, I can't remember how long you said.
A few years later.
That used with your boyfriend. Can you talk about that one, please?
Yeah, so that one, I was 16.
Yeah.
My boyfriend and I worked at a barbecue restaurant together, and we were still in school, so we would always work after school together. And every now and then, like, we would hang out at my house versus his house versus, we might go out to eat somewhere. Yeah. But it was kind of like a regular thing. Okay, went from school to work, went from work to whatever the place was.
Yeah.
Regular. This wasn't like anything out of the blue, anything we did differently, just another day is what I'm getting at. And it was very late at night because we got out of work around 10:30 sometimes. And neither of us lived crazy close to this restaurant. It was like a 15-20 minute drive.
Right, okay.
That particular night, he was driving me to my house. We were going to hang out for a little bit. And the road to get to, or it was my parents' house, the road to get there is just this very long, very quiet, very dark road. It had not yet been built up.
Right.
Or, gentrified or anything. So it was still a very empty neck of the woods. And I had made this drive either by myself or with family or with him hundreds and hundreds of times, because that's where we lived. It's not like this was anything special or spectacular or different. It was just same old, same old. We're driving, we're listening to music, whatever. Out of the blue, we see this very tall, very slender, like almost curved, like as if, the posture was like bent over a bit. Very tall, very slender figure just dash across the road.
Oh.
Yes. And again, my boyfriend was driving at the time. He slams on his brakes, like slams, comes to a screeching stop. I think we were maybe, I want to say the speed limit might have been around 45, but I'm pretty sure we're speeding because both of us were speed drivers. But
Yeah.
you know, going at least 45, maybe 55 or so, slammed brakes, and we both just start bawling. Like, we didn't like say, "Oh, what was that?" or like, "Oh my gosh, what the heck?" We both just started bawling, like
Wow.
without warning, without talking about it first, and we both
Yeah.
started hyperventilating. um and what's wild to me, again, like, I have a lot of friends that are into astrology and a lot of friends that are into you know, different kinds of religions or belief systems. I've never,
Yeah.
you know, taken a deep dive into stuff like horoscopes or Chinese zodiacs. I do know
Yeah.
that I'm a dragon and I'm a Gemini. But I think back to that day, like, all the time. Why did we both have the exact same reaction in that exact same moment to this very wild and inexplicable thing that we
Yeah.
both saw? And the couple times we talked about it later, like reflecting, it's like, we're both Gemini and we were both born on the exact same day of the exact same year. Is that how else do you explain that, you know? Because I think it's interesting, like, people have, you know, different reactions to stuff that can't be explained, like either shock, maybe terror, maybe confusion, maybe just like, that was crazy, right? Just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but our reaction in that moment to this thing was the exact same. Slam on the brake, we both start bawling and we both start hyperventilating. When we
Wow.
calm down, finally, we're still just stopped in the middle of this road. He's just like, what was that? And I'm like, I don't know. And like, we sit there for like another 5-10 minutes, just like trying to catch our breath. And then he's just, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, me neither. You know, and it's like, what do you do? Do we call the police? Do we like, at the time,
Well,
too, I think either of us had, I think we might have had like, you know, old school like Nokia phones or anything, but like neither of us thought like, oh, we should call our parents and tell them what happened. Neither of us were thinking that. It was just like almost making sure like you saw that, and like clearly you saw that and felt that. We were both going through the same emotions, and it was like we didn't know what to do and we didn't do anything. And finally, we both calmed down and he drove me home, and then we just like held each other for like a good 30 minutes, like, was that real? It's like, yeah, it was real. I was right there. I saw it too. Like, yeah.
You're just constantly questioning yourself, aren't you?
Of course, but like, you know, that's when I finally told him about the first experience I'd had prior, and that was, I was completely alone. And it's like, I'm not telling anybody about this. They're gonna think I'm crazy, or you know, they're gonna like start praying over my body. This, it's almost validating because it's like, okay, you saw it too, you felt it too, and it was so truly wild. Again, the shape, the height, and it was almost see-through too. It's like it looked solid, but you could also still see through it.
But
and inexplicable.
But how tall would you say it was?
So we were driving in his car or my car. It was definitely like that car, maybe a little taller. But it was, I don't know, I would say well over 6 feet, like maybe maybe 6'5" or higher, just extremely tall, like noticeably tall. But also it was like psychotically skinny, like just realistically skinny. Super creepy.
So did you see any features on what this thing was? I know you said it moved quite fast, so it'd be difficult for you to see.
It was just like a blaze across the street. I mean, just everything just looked long and lanky. In that blur, like, I don't remember anything else. Just like super tall, super skinny, like long, lanky arms, super long and skinny legs, and it just dashed. Like, we didn't, you know, see a face going from one side to the other. And the only other feature I can describe is that it looked like translucent, like see-through, even though very clearly shaped a very clear shape. It was still just had this like weird translucent like I really don't know how to describe it other than that.
Yeah. So what do you believe that was, or have you not considered what it could be? Or have you not come to a conclusion as to what it could be?
No conclusion. I mean, so what's funny is like you see some TV shows or you see some forums, YouTube channels, you name it, of people describing different types of alien life forms or different types of spirits, whatever the name is, right? In the end, it's like I don't really know. You know, it looks like it has matched a couple things I've seen, but then you see these shows and they're almost gimmicky. So it makes you like, okay, well, that looks very similar to like the thing that I saw, but also it seems like they're making this ultra gimmicky, and it almost makes me like frustrated that it matches.
Yeah. So that is the annoying thing. But you said that you go that. Do you still go down this road, or do you not live in that area anymore?
Don't live in that area anymore. So that was in San Antonio, and I'm currently based in Austin. The only time I ever go to San Antonio is to visit family, but they don't live in that house anymore.
Right. Okay. So, yeah.
I do know.
So
the last time I visited that particular area, just mainly for nostalgia purposes, because I happen to be in town. It's like, oh, I want to go, drive by my old childhood house. It's completely like uprooted. There's like endless houses, endless shopping. There's no empty road anymore for miles and miles and miles. It's all like turning into a concrete jungle. So it's not really like worth it to go back, I think, to like, for any particular reason.
No. So when you was still living there, when you're still going to the job and back home and from school and that, I'm guessing you used to run that road. Did you ever have anything else happen? Not necessarily seeing something across the road, but any other weird stuff go on?
Yes. So I told you I'm a very vivid dreamer. That's like in my daily life, I'm extremely creative. I'll come up with stuff like while I'm running or while I'm showering or while I'm driving, just like an idea for a story or a song or a film will just pop up and I have to write it down. Similarly, when I dream at night, everything's very vivid. And then I would say there are extremes where I will either like experience lucid dreaming or I will experience sleep paralysis. And there's at least, just like counting off the top of my head, like the most intense nights of sleep paralysis, 5 or 6. Just like I remember I was here at the time. That's how traumatizing it was. I remember where I was, what city, what bed, if I was in high school versus college. So at that house in that area, yes, there were 2 times where I had sleep there's some balloons. What was that?
Are you using your iPad or Mac or anything?
Oh no, I'm on my phone.
Oh right, I think because I'm using the iPad, if you do gestures, you get different things. So if I do that, it rains.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And then I think there you go.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there's a few others, but there you go. There.
I did something and it warranted balloons. That's fun.
Yeah, you got a ton of balloons. Yeah. So sorry about that.
No, you're fine. Yeah, so in that particular area of San Antonio, living in that house still with my parents, I remember 2 extreme episodes of sleep paralysis, and both were the same. And this, like, out of anything else I've ever experienced, I think sleep paralysis is truly like terrifying and horrifying for me, because it's almost always the same, where like everything, again in the dream, everything is either black or red or both, and there's just this figure on me, sitting on me, staring at me, and I can't breathe. And they're not like they're not effectively doing anything to try to harm me. Like they're not like choking me, or they're not like,
Yeah. They
anything
just sat there.
hurt me. They're just in front of me or stuck on me, and my whole body is just writhing in terror, in pain.
Yeah.
And I can never ever breathe. I feel like I'm just suffocating, and just it's the most terrifying thing I've ever experienced. And
Wow.
that paralysis has happened during sleep, but it happened twice at that house. And kind of the same thing. Again, I grew up Catholic. I grew up like anytime you're feeling any kind of way, you pray about it. Like that's just what you do.
Yeah.
And so you pray the rosary specifically for the, Catholic upbringing.
Yeah.
So every time this has ever happened, that's just like my automated response. It's built into me. It's what was taught to me since I was a girl. And just like through the sleep paralysis, I can't breathe. I can't talk. I can't do anything. But, I'm just like going through the rosary in my head until it like slowly fades away. And each time that this sleep paralysis has happened, to this extent with this presence or this being causing this, I will eventually wake up, snap out of it, just like start gasping for air. Like,
wow,
he wasn't physically breathing that whole time and just start gasping. So yeah, that happened twice at that same, in that same area. And the other times it's happened, there was once in college, and then I think once or twice in grad school. And then I've had it happen once or twice here in the house I
Oh, wow. So do you think that it's, so obviously it's something that is connected directly to you. Do you believe then that it could be this very first thing that you've seen at your grandma's house in New Mexico? Do you think that has some sort of connection or ties towards you?
Maybe. So what I also, I guess I can't explain it. This that's happening in my dream, a dream state, right? The sleep paralysis. That's something that I'm assuming I'm coming up with.
Right. Okay.
Because this one's so terrifying, and it is clearly like fear-based. I think my way of always dealing with it is like, oh, those are my fears to an extreme, taking some sort of figure or shape. The thing I saw at my grandmother's house, I didn't necessarily feel like fear, seeing the shadow. It was more a fear of the unknown, just like
not knowing what it is.
Yeah, but not like fearing for my life, more just like, what am I seeing? That can't be normal. Like, what's wrong with me? The thing with my sleep paralysis and these figures that I've, these spirits or these beings that I'm dreaming about, that always, I guess my way of coping with it is just like, that's me. Like, I'm creating that in my sleep, or, my brain waves, my neurons are firing. I have zero control over it. It's just how my brain is processing everything. And that's probably my deepest, darkest fears, pain, sadness, all just in a big chunk.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't the same, but I don't, I hope it's not connected to that thing at my grandma's house, because I've never had any like extreme negative situation happen with my grandmother or at that house in particular. So I hope it's not connected.
No, so I'm not trying to put a dampener on anything. We have got a question that's, it's a little bit, it's not negative, but it's a bit on the dark side. So if you just bear with me 1 minute, Joe will put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
Because I'm on my iPad, because I'm not at home. I can't do everything like I would normally. So the question is from, there we go, from Fire Spirit. So it's Wayne. Cheers for this, Wayne. So he's put, when you had the first sighting, did anyone pass within 3 months of the encounter from either family?
Yes, actually. My aunt. Yeah, I don't know. I've never like, equated one.
Never put the two together.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
I said you've never put the two together. You've never linked them.
No, because maybe because it's not like one happened and then the next day,
Yeah.
somebody passed away. It was like, I think, far enough apart. A lot of stuff will happen in a week and it feels like a whole month has passed. So this would have been
Right.
like, gosh, June, July, August. Yeah, this would have been at least 2 months later, I would say.
Right.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I've never thought. Is
No.
there that person asked that?
I was going to say there must be some I have heard stuff like that before, but I don't really research that kind of stuff. Mine's more just like people's encounters and like comparing them to, like, not comparing them, but running them alongside like the stuff that I've had, or like what you're talking about now, what other people have told me. That's really the only research that I do, other than going out investigating myself. But I have heard that before, that the thing that you've seen could possibly be what they call the Hat Man. It's like I suppose the king of the shadow people, because it's like when you mentioned about the red eyes, because that was one of the questions I was going to ask you. And then the next one, it's like, did you notice if it was wearing? Is it? I never remember the name of these hats. Is it a Ferrador?
Not sure what you're saying. What is the name of it?
No, it's the hat with the rim all the way around. I can't remember the name of it. I'm not. What the shadow thing was wearing when you was at your grandmother's house.
I don't recall any sort of hat. I mean, it was like a black figure.
Fedora. That's it.
Fedora. No, I don't remember a fedora.
No.
Any sort of hat, really. It's just more like, if somebody came out into the bedroom with like a sheet on, and how it would kind of,
yeah.
that big.
You get kind of like a bulky outline, but it's not a solid head, neck, arms, chest, and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the name for that, a Hat Man.
The Hat Man.
Oh.
So it's just with the red eyes. That was all.
Okay.
Excuse me, because I know a lot of people say is that if you encounter the Hat Man, there's usually death quite immediately.
Oh dear.
To either yourself or a close family member.
Oh man, that's scary.
Well, I don't know how true that is, because I've never experienced it, so I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't like to either, by the way, just in case he's watching. But yeah, that's a big, like, a link towards like the shadow people and that, and like if you encounter it. Oh yeah, so Ian Wayne's put Hat Man is Azazel. It's like one of the I think that's one of the fallen angels.
Oh really?
There's a couple of different names. Yeah, Aziel. Is it Aziel? Aziel or Azazel or something?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember. I've not, because I'm not at the computer. I've not got anything in front of me. So yeah. So that was the link for, like we're saying, with Angel of Death. So with somebody dying, and then you having that encounter. But with the sleep paralysis, and you're saying about lucid dreaming and that, do you think that there's a possibility that you could be going into astral projection, doing it naturally without physically knowing that you're going to be doing it?
So I'm not familiar with that term. What is astral projection?
So that's where you can't, basically, you go to sleep, but you come out of your own body, and you can go to these different planes, different realms and that, but your actual physical body is wherever you went to sleep. And there's this thing called a silver cord that keeps you connected to your body. So if anything bad starts to happen, you can pull yourself back into your own body again. Because I know that it is possible that you can get trapped outside your body and you never actually make it back.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear it, that definition or that terminology. I've always dissected my dreams, whether they're good or bad, whether it's like, I know it's me in the dream, experiencing whatever's happening in the dream, versus like there have been dreams I've had where I'm a dolphin, right? Or there have been dreams I've had where I am not me, but I'm a different person, whether it be a man or a woman, young or old. And it, like, just me thinking about it and reflecting on it, I would always, I guess, assume that, oh, it's just a dream. That's what I imagine. I didn't know that like a term for that where, you know, you leave your body and you go somewhere else. I mean,
right, okay.
The thing, I guess it could be. I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I just thought that. But I'm just going down the line that because of the creativity and everything that you do, obviously being the musician, the producing and the acting and all that, it's like an overdrive in your brain while you're going to sleep. So, like you said, you wake up at stupid o'clock in the morning with an idea or song lyrics or the name of something, so you get up and write it down straight away. So it could just be that.
It could be, yeah.
It's just the creativity, just keeping going and going and going.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've always just like equated it to. But it does, like, you reading that definition does kind of strike me as interesting because, you know, anytime I'm having the lucid dreams or in the past when I've had these sleep paralysis episodes, it is like eventually I'm, I guess, talking to myself, like coaching myself, trying to get myself out of it. And then when I snap out of it or wake up or whatever you want to call it, whatever the terminology is, I'm there, you know, in real life, my bed, but I'm gasping for air and crying just as if I was, you know, doing that in the dream.
Yeah.
So maybe it's scary to like think about it like that.
Yeah. I can send you some links for people that I know that do this. If you want to have a look into it, it might be something that you could be interested in.
Yeah, I think I mentioned to you on our last interview, you and the other woman, that just, I haven't talked about this much openly or publicly. It's like if other people happen to like bring it up here or there. There's a gentleman in Arizona I was on a film set with last summer, and he asked me, I want to say, a couple of the same questions you have, just because he was like, yeah, he's like, wait, you too? And I'm like, other people go through this? Like, but yeah.
So I was going to ask as well, so when you have these dreams, can you feel, like, say, like there's a wardrobe, it's like, could you put your hand out and go, oh, that's wood, it's a door, it's a cupboard, it's a closet or something? And can you feel the air? Can you smell?
Oh, yes. And when I say vivid, I mean every single detail, color, texture, taste, smell.
Wow.
Yeah. And sometimes I'll have reoccurring dreams too, that it just blows my mind, like how every detail is exactly the same as it was the last time I had that dream. Like a reoccurring dream I've had since I was a child was my brother, my father, and I are walking in this field of wheat, and like I could feel the breeze, I could feel how cool it was, I could hear the wind rustling through the wheat, I could see the wind rustling through the wheat and making waves, and we're just walking, and it's very calm, almost very peaceful. We get to this barn, you know, I feel like the metal of the doorknob, turning it, opening the door, hearing the creak of the door, and just like seeing and feeling the dust settle when we walk into this really old barn. And again, it's the same dream every time. My brother and I are looking around, looking at all this very dusty, very abandoned contents of this barn. Just old, a bunch of old junk, old sheets, dust everywhere. And then at one point we realized my dad's not in the barn with us anymore, and we hear an airplane, and we both go back outside the barn, and we see a plane taking off, and we see my father in the cockpit. And just like, you know, the booming loud noise of the plane engine, like feeling the whoosh of air and like everything is disrupted and interrupted. Extremely vivid, like sight, sound, touch, and emotion, and just feeling extreme loss, like he's gone, right? Whereas like when we were walking there, feeling that extreme emotion of just calm and peace.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Like I record my dreams quite a bit too. Like I'll wake up and be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened. I need to write it down because it's truly insane. It's just so vivid, so upside down. Like you watch movies sometimes, or you read stories sometimes, you're like, how do they think of this? Like what in the heck prompted them to come up with this concept or come up with these characters, come up with this scenario? And I'm like, man, people are having writer's block left and right. Like pay me for some ideas, because I have like thousands of journal entries of just these crazy scenarios, these crazy dreams. Like, and I don't, I'm not actively trying to come up with them. They just like vomit out of my brain every other night.
So with you keeping this journal of dreams, do you ever go back and look at any of them?
All the time. Yeah. I have dream journal entries that are in the form of poems, or in the form of song lyrics, some that are in the form of like short stories. Like it's just the full-fledged story. Like as I'm writing it, it's written out. It's already there, everything. Then there are other dream journal entries that are like very sporadic, and they just come in bursts, more like bullet point regurgitation, because I wake up and I'm like, that I get out of my head, and I start typing it, and it just comes out in little bursts. And I go back all the time and read them. Like I could read one right now for you if you wanted. Wouldn't make any sense. Or I could read one that like came out in poem form, and it's just like that.
Well,
that was a dream.
Someone just put in the chat now, Fred Flintstone, he's just put Paul McCartney woke up with a song in his head that was fully formed. So I'm guessing that's similar to what you're doing.
Oh,
like with the poem, like poem form. No, it's okay. Like with the poem form, or like song lyrics.
Yeah, I've heard of that happening to a couple of people. You know, whether they're famous or not. And so it's really cool. It makes me feel like, okay, A, I'm not crazy. Like this happens. This is a thing. And B, it's also neat to know like other people have had, I don't even care like the success part. I don't care if it's successful. That's really cool too. But mainly just like people hearing them and listening and understanding like, it's a neat thing. It's like, look at it more so as like maybe a superpower or a really cool talent, instead of just like, how do you do that? Why do you do that? Which is how I've always grown up, is like, I must be abnormal. I must be weird.
I think we're all a little bit weird, to be honest, but I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, do you want to get a couple?
Oh yeah.
Do you want to read them? Do you want me? Do you want to go on a break while you get them up ready? Would that be easier?
Let me see if I can pull one up really quick. Sometimes my phone is very on ring as far as. Let me see if it'll just pull it right up. And like, do you have any preference? Do you care if it's in little bursts or little bullet points, or do you want
to first one you pick up, whichever first one you see.
So gosh, there's just like thousands. I can just pick one random. So I'll read one that's in poem form because it's literally right here. So it goes, come back down from the clouds all around you. We can drown out the crowds with our own blues. You're not sure if this song was written for you. Let's go back to the place where we could breathe. I do that on my own, but I'm failing. You're not sure if you know what I'm thinking. Now I'm empty and alone, tired of these memories of no home, coming back to you because you're the one. I'm hooked on your love. So that's kind of like an example of like I just wake up
Yeah.
and like it's literally a song that's playing in my head. Like the melody for this one was like do 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 do
Right.
do
Got you.
do, and it's just playing in my head, and it's like I don't remember what the dream was, like if I was actively like walking around somewhere or actively
Yeah.
doing something. But what I do remember about the dream was singing the song, just like
Right.
doo-doo-doo, right? I was singing the do 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 do,
Yeah.
and
So you have the tune that comes with it and not just the words.
oh yeah, and sometimes it is just words, but in this particular
Right.
one, it was the melody, and then the words just came out. Come back down
Ah.
from the clouds all around you. We can drown out the crowds with their own blues, right? That kind of
Yeah.
thing. So that one was, you know, a dream in song form.
Yeah.
I have one here right next to it that happened like a few days later. This one is more of like a psycho scenario. So March 17th, I'm in an alley. I'm meeting a bunch of friends. These are people I don't normally hang out with. All of them appear ecstatic to see me. I'm ecstatic to see them. We're walking in and out of a bunch of different apartment complex buildings, from one room to the next, from one apartment to the next. They are all beautiful, but they're very dingy. They look like they've been abandoned for a very long time. We see a bunch of cats here and there coming in and out, looking for scraps. A homeless person comes up, grabs my backpack, runs off. I see him from afar pouring through it. He takes out my iPad. He takes out my iPod. He throws them on the ground and into the dirt. I start screaming, asking for these friends to call the police. They call the police. They say, we're going to come after you. He finally looks frightened and just drops my backpack and runs. We go to my backpack. We pick it up. Another homeless person comes out of nowhere and tries to take it. I'm immediately frightened. I'm worried I'm going to get hurt. The police come right away. All of a sudden, we turn around. There's a T-Rex. Everybody starts running. Exactly. It's like, oh, this sounds like it could be, you know, whatever, the story or this, like, you know, it.
Yeah, the scene of a show or a movie. And
yeah,
then,
just
like, it could be something out of Lost. They went a bit far-fetched.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that we turn around and there's a T-Rex. All of us immediately start running. Yeah. We go back into the abandoned apartment complex buildings. We start hiding behind anything we can find. Bits of tarp, pieces of walls, and doors that have fallen off. Many other people are there hiding. They've been here. They're scared. We go upstairs. We see a bunch of metal shelves. I grab a piece that has broken off. Before I know it, there are hyenas everywhere. One jumps up to bite me. One grabs my wrist. I look around. There's nowhere to go. I see through the corner of my eye the T-Rex staring at me. Everyone is dead. I wake up.
No. Wow.
So that one's more of like, I guess what I would call a dream journey. Maybe it goes from like quickly one thing to the next to the next. You're like you with these friends you don't normally hang out with, and then you're just like, oh, let's go explore. We're in all these abandoned buildings, and it's like, okay, now these homeless people are bothering us. Like, what the heck? Hey, that's my backpack. Hey, that's my iPad. Turn around, there's a T-Rex. It's like, what? And then we go and we run and hide, and it feels like, you know, a doomsday movie or an apocalyptic scenario where there's like hundreds of people and they're all hiding too. They've been hiding, they've been running for many days. And then there's a bunch of hyenas. Like, what? So that's an example of, you know, it's more sporadic. It's more like nonsensical. Whereas the poem, it just like came out. It's like very pretty, melodical. It's structured and sound, and it makes sense. That was just like creativity vomit.
Yeah. So do you think that the detail that you remember in your dreams is because of like the writing and like I said earlier, the creativity that you do. Because when I remember my dreams, I can remember the house. I could describe it. I have a recurring one, which is just this house out in the country.
Yeah.
And when you go into like one of the rooms. It's quite a big room, but it's like a shopping mall when you go inside it. And obviously it's not from the outside. So, and it's the same. I can give you like all the details to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I was to write it down, I wouldn't write it down in detail to the extent that you do.
It could be, you know, my whole life I've been, you know, I would especially say my younger life, I was obsessed with reading, just obsessed.
Yeah.
I would read a new book every single day, unless it was too long to finish in a day. Then I would just finish it as fast as I could, you know, and that kind of upbringing where it's like based around books and stories and worlds and imagination, that trains your brain to do that, to create that, to remember that. And, you know, everything I've been told about dreams from people who are not either, you know, super creative or like they're more, you know, analytical thinking, like they want logic, they want facts, they want structure. They're just like, all dreams are random neurons firing. It's your brain sorting through everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard, everything you've ever tasted, smelled, read, watched, whatever.
Yeah.
Which that's cool too. But the way in which my brain processes all of that and sorts through it and then pieces it back together in this, whatever, let's say this new story, new song, this, you know, vomit of creativity. I mean, that's anything you do in life. Like anything we say, think, or do is a result based off of our past experience, our past education, upbringing, surroundings. So whether you're dreaming that or you're living that consciously in the moment, in real life versus in your dreams, you're doing that anyway. Like I'm talking to you because I learned how to talk. Somebody taught me how to talk.
Oh, yeah.
I'm using my phone because I learned how to use my phone. And it's the same thing with dreams. It's like, maybe they're so detailed and structured, and sometimes they're very pretty and organized, and sometimes it's just chaos because at some point I learned that, and my brain's reprocessing it and sorting through it and putting it all together.
Yeah. Have you ever tried to control your dreams? And have you succeeded?
Yes. And then the second question, yes and no. So the dream that I had with the dolphin, or where I was a dolphin, that used to be a reoccurring dream when I was younger, and I haven't had it in a long time. I want to say for maybe 10 years. I think the last time I had that reoccurring dream where I was a dolphin, I think I was in college the last time I had it.
Right.
But every time I had it, I remember it's like one of my favorite dreams I've ever had. And then the fact that it was a reoccurring dream, it's like I would get excited, like, oh my gosh, here we are again. I get to be a dolphin. It's like I'm conscious of the fact that I'm dreaming, but I'm excited that it's this dream, and then I get to be the dolphin again. And I, like, a couple times in the past when I would have that reoccurring dream, I'd be like, okay, now I'm gonna, you know, dive even deeper, and when I jump up, I'm gonna try and get even higher, and I'm gonna this time, look, there's a hoop, I want to try and jump through the hoop, like I'm gonna do tricks, right? And it's so thrilling because I'm actively writing this story of this reoccurring dream. I'm actively rewriting what I get to do as the dolphin, feeling the water, like imagining what it would be like to be able to breathe and then come out and use my little blowhole, right? Stuff like that. There have been other instances where, you know, I know that it's a dream and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Let me try and fix it. Let me try and solve it. I have had reoccurring dreams where I don't know how to describe it. There's a superhero character. I think it's the Hulk, where he can like jump and he basically is that I don't know what you call that, leaping and bounding, like what do you call that phenomenon of these huge jumps?
Just leaping.
So I've had that kind of that thing happen in a few reoccurring dreams I've had in the past. And I would always be like, oh, okay, here we go. I get to jump again. I get to jump super, super high, very, very high. And sometimes I'd be like, I want to try and jump and skip several buildings now. Now I want to jump and skip 20 buildings. and I would try and like, you know, control it or navigate it. And then I would not make it and I would die. And then I'd wake up and be like, okay, I didn't like that. I don't want to do that again. So, you know,
yeah, I'll give that one a miss. Yeah. So, no, it's just so interesting learning about other people's dreams. Like I said, I've had one reoccurring since being a child. I won't go into it now, and it's the same dream. I don't know if I mean it. Whoever I am, I'm the age that I was when I very first had this dream. And the people that are in it, they're the same age as well. So I'm thinking I might be younger than what I am now. But I might not look like me in the dream, but I know it is me, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And that's the only way I can describe it. And it's just, I think there's about 2 or 3 that are constantly reoccurring, but there's this one that comes up more than the others. And it's one of those, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I just don't go with it or anything. It's just, if it does, it does. But it's one of those that I do try and go back into. Like when I try and change it, I always try and change the outcome, but it just doesn't seem to happen.
Oh.
So, yeah.
I hope one day you can.
I know. I've been having it long enough. I think I should be able to now. I just don't know how I would do it, but it's just one of those. But we have still got a couple of questions for you. I've got a question for you, sorry. So this is again from Fire Spirit, and he's asking, does Sheilava know her MBTI personality type?
MBTI.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
I don't either. I want to say, like, I've heard people talking about this or maybe posting about this, but I don't know what mine is. Is there a way to find out? Is there a formula? Like, is it based off your birthday or
I think it could be astrology related.
Oh, really?
I'm not saying it is. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm wait for him to. Hopefully, he'll explain what it is because he's still in the chat.
I'm curious. Let me take a peek really quick if there's a way to Google it.
Yeah. But I'm just waiting to see if he puts anything up. If I open another tab, this will close, and it's an absolute nightmare. Otherwise, I'd do it.
What's a nightmare? Sorry.
So when I'm on the iPad, if I open up another tab to Google anything, it'll close this. So I can't do it when I'm not on the computer.
Oh, is it closing the camera too?
Yeah, it closes the camera, but even though the other tabs, I have to split them, and it's just.
Okay, so yeah, I was searching it just now, so it took my camera off, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. Unless people are fine just listening, and we can keep chatting as I type up.
Yeah, that's fine. He's put. You can take a test. It's not astrology.
Yeah, MBTI, is that correct?
MBTI, yes.
Enneagram, okay. Oh, so it's asking me questions. Do you regularly make new friends? I would say yeah, but I mean, how do you define friends? See, here's my problem. Be too analytical about these questions, right? Like, now what are we talking about when we say friends?
See, well, everyone's definition is different because I meet new people all the time, like through doing this, doing the YouTube channel, Facebook. But then I meet people when I'm out and about, make new friends that way. So for me, a friend is someone you talk to, I suppose, on a regular basis. That's my definition of it. Where yours or people in the chat could be something completely different.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and how does this test determine what your definition of that is? It's not letting me like pick.
That if for me, if the first question is how often you make new friends. That's definitely a person. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Well, it did say what personality you've got, so it is
I see.
INFJ, so Indigo November Foxtrot Juliet. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Not got a clue.
Yeah, it's asking a whole bunch of questions. I'm trying to or asking me questions. I don't know if I want to take all the time to do that.
What the initials are: introverted, intuitive. So I think it's one of those. It's one of them. If you want to do it, you'll do it. If you're not that into it, then I suppose you just think about it. Would there have been some at the top of my list?
Yeah.
But
I just realized it's giving me a percentage. So I answered like 7 questions. I'm like 20%. So it's not too many. But I can
no.
yeah, if you like, do you have any other questions for me as I'm poking through this, or did anybody else ask questions?
It's gone. I knew it would. Oh,
Oh no.
it's to do with, yeah. So have you ever thought of having regression, like hypnosis, to try and find out why you're getting this sleep paralysis, or any other accounts that you've had? What could be the not so much the cause of it, but if there's anything that you're not remembering from what's been going on, and then
So
kind of like dig into the back of your mind.
I have
really
tried like forms of meditation. I think that are, I love meditation, by the way, and I love trying different kinds of meditation. But I've tried a few that are more technically classified as those moments, or those, those chapters of my life where I tried that. It was because I was going through either extreme anxiety, extreme frustration, extreme stress, extremes of all of the. If I can actively work on calming myself down, I do sleep better.
Yeah.
My dreams are they tend to be much more lighthearted.
Yeah.
And so when I was going through those chapters of my life, it wasn't in an effort to try to, it was more just me as a whole.
Right.
But I can imagine, they might be connected. When you're feeling your absolute worst, whether it's in real life or in, when you're dreaming.
Yeah.
It's typically enhanced, right? So if you're already feeling like crap and then everything around you is going wrong as well, it just adds to it. It amplifies it. Yeah.
I think.
Imagine the subconscious is the same thing.
Yeah, I suppose it's like draw that's going on at the moment is negative. You're going to draw that negative energy into the positivity back, and then, like you said, it all amplifies.
I would say that the moments where try different forms of meditation and try them for different lengths of time, right? Not just like a 5-minute part of the schedule, morning, noon, and night for 10 to 30 minutes. Hypnotherapy to really actively calm me down. Those chapters of my life were the most that I've ever gone through. My parents divorced, starting my master's degree, and just like I can't stress, and it's just like grasping at anything under the sun to like bring me back down and help center me are these nightmares, and in me just like terrified.
Yeah.
Should I actively do stuff like that, like hypnotherapy or meditate? If my mind is calm before I go to sleep, hopefully the chances that it stays calm through sleep
Yeah.
go up.
Yeah, well, that's what I like the last started doing it before the live stream, just to suppose level me out. Really. Well, I used to get really nervous, but I don't anymore, and I think I've done that just through doing the meditation. But it brings me to a zone where I feel more connected to like the guests like yourself, what you're talking about, and remember it to write stuff down. Not that I did anyway, but I'll be like, oh, what did you say earlier? But I'm streaming, so it's helped me with that. That's cool. My memory in general, I think. But that on its own is more than enough for me. It's just finding a particular way of doing it and what helps them and what helps them relax. I think that is.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think it's so helpful. I think it's another tool, everybody has at their disposal. And actively making that a part of your lifestyle, and like a daily thing, just like brushing your teeth or just like drinking water. Right? Do we do it enough? Probably not. We should. So I have I know the last time I was on just doing this interview with you, I was talking a lot about the projects I was working on, one of them being Basil King. Actually, the head producer is watching this right now. He's saying there's a lot of like glitching happening, and him and some of the other viewers are in the chat talking about the glitching.
Yeah, so a lot of people are saying the audio's gone, but I can hear you fine.
Right.
And I'm guessing that you can hear me okay.
I can hear you wonderfully, yes.
Yeah, it's like you sat opposite me. That's how it sounds.
Weird. Okay. I wonder.
I don't know what's going on. But then there's people that are saying the audio's gone, others that are saying that they can hear it fine.
Weird.
If I was them, I'd just come out of it and then come back in. That's what I usually do if it goes off.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but yeah, I don't know, because I checked because we've got the Wi-Fi in the caravan, but I'm using the network signal from the provider. It's a little bit stronger. So
yeah,
I did a pre-test this afternoon, so
okay,
just in case anything like this did happen, and it did, but there's not a lot I can do about it. But yeah, we've got about 15 minutes left. So can you talk about the last strange incident or encounter that you remember?
Yeah, so it wasn't that long ago. Gosh, I'm trying to think of exactly when it happened. I want to say it was like a few months ago.
Right.
And this one was a little different than the other two I was describing at the beginning of this interview. Because I told you about the one that happened when I was very young, and I saw that, the black shadow. I told you about the second one where it was like that weird shape, that weird figure crossing the street. This one was definitely, I would say, energy based. and I was walking in the park, or maybe in the park or to the park,
Yeah.
and just trying to, I guess, clear my head, just go on my daily walk, nightly walk, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And everything just got eerily silent, you know, like you hear birds or you hear bugs, you hear cars passing by.
Yeah.
This park is not crazy far from the highway, so there's always just like extraneous noise or whatever. And then it was just like out of the blue, everything got eerily silent, like completely quiet. Like birds stopped, cicadas stopped. There was no noise. Yeah, it was kind of instantaneous. Wow. And I think again, it could be what we were talking about earlier, like different types of energies. Like when you walk into a room and you're like, okay, I can tell it's very tense in here, even not having any prior knowledge of what had happened in that room, you can feel it, right? Or like sometimes you walk into maybe a workplace or something and everybody around you is just stressed and mad and angry, and without them telling you, you just feel it, even without them outwardly expressing that they're mad or angry. I would equate it to that similar feeling, where just like everything around me got very just, I don't want to say dead, that sounds so dark, but everything
just like silent, just stopped.
Complete silence. Yeah. So similar to the time I told you where I was very, very young, my body just kind of clenched up in that moment, and I was actively walking. I just stopped, and maybe the feeling of not dread, but like just uncertainty. And the only thing I could ever like compare it to is, you know, you watch movies sometimes and you see like a killer, he's like advancing on somebody, and like you're like, oh my gosh, like just that feeling of like something's gonna happen, what's gonna happen, I don't know, and nothing happened, but I can't explain it, you know. And this one, like, I didn't see anything, but it was all based off of an aural energy, right? Everything just went silent, and then I froze, I stopped, and I'm around like, where are the birds? Where's the traffic? What is happening? So it's like, did the birds actually stop chirping? Probably not, right? Did the cars on the highway stop driving? Definitely not. So why did everything go quiet? I don't know.
So how long did that last for? Do you know?
I want to say maybe not longer than like 20 seconds, but in that moment it felt like
forever. Yeah.
You're sitting there like, what just happened? And what it reminded me of actually was I was just talking about this last night with a couple of filmmakers. The eclipse, they have a path of totality, actually went kind of near Austin, or in some parts of Austin, it went through it. And thing happened when there was the total eclipse, right? Just like birds stopped chirping. And went black. Now this didn't happen on my walk, but the like that same thing happened. And that's what's freaky to me. It's like, why did it happen? Was there something that was supposed to happen with the moon that I didn't read about? I don't know.
Wow.
So yeah, that was the recent one, and that was probably the strangest one because I didn't see anything, right? The other times, the other moments I talked about with you, like I actually saw something, some sort of figure, some sort of shape. The the sleep paralysis, I could see some sort of figure, you know, in this nightmare or whatever you want to call it. I could this is the first, and again, this happened, I want to say 3 months ago, maybe. 2 months ago. And it's like, I didn't see anything, but it was everything that I heard, or I guess, you know, the lack of hearing anything.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. I'm just trying to, because I know of other people that have experienced that or encountered it. And Blue Shift, he just put in the chat, he goes, it sounds like the Oz Factor. And that's another thing that I need to research because I don't really understand what that is. I know it's where everything stops and goes quiet, and you kind of feels like you've been placed in a bubble of some sort.
Okay.
a protection bubble.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I would
did you?
describe it maybe. I didn't know there
Yeah,
was a term for that. That's cool.
yeah. I think it is. I'm sure it's that because I've had that before when I've been out in a cemetery and was doing an encounter. It's like about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and something happened, and everything was like. So where the cemetery is, it's close to where I live, and it's on the. So you've got a road that goes say east to west, another one goes north to south, and there's a junction there with traffic lights. So there's quite a lot of traffic because it's an industrial estate about a quarter of a mile down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So you're constantly in traffic, even at that time of night. And there's an ambulance station opposite the entrance to the cemetery. So you're always hearing ambulances going in and out, especially when they're coming out and they've got sirens going.
Mm-hmm.
But all the noise around me just stopped. I was with somebody else, Richard, and there's just no noise. And it felt like I was being pulled away from something that was happening. But I couldn't hear anything. I could see it, but it's like you kind of can't focus as to what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you got pulled into this bubble for only for a few seconds. And when I come back out of it, whether I got out of it myself or it just wasn't there, we're trying to get in his car, and it was like something out of a movie. He's trying to get his keys out of his car to try and unlock it. He couldn't get his keys out. Then he dropped them, and it's like, I just thought, we're going to die. There's nothing going on, but it was just that scenario. He managed to unlock his car. We got in it. Obviously, it was fine. But it was just the moment that all that was going on.
Yeah.
There's like a million things racing through your head as to what is actually happening.
Yeah. Even describing it to you, I don't think I told anybody that this had happened, because in the moment you're just like, did I just dream that? But I'm clearly awake.
Yeah.
The other thing I think that's like, unfortunately, a stigmatism for females is just like we're overly emotional or we're like overly aware to the point where we're like on edge, like, is somebody following me? And it's like, well, why are we like that? But this one, again, like orally speaking, I couldn't explain it. And I was assuming like something bad was about to happen and my senses are alerting me to like stop what you're doing and look around, and it's like nothing happened. And then it was just like, and then all the audio came, like, I don't know.
Yeah, everything kicks off again. There is one question. Sorry, go on.
Really super quick. I did finish the little questionnaire and it says I'm a campaigner, whatever that means.
Right. I'm going to have a look at this test when we finish, and I'll post it online on Facebook so people can see what it is. Hope it's something good. If I don't post it, that means it's a load of rubbish and I'm not even going to bother. But there was a question in the chat before. I can't remember who sent it, but they was asking, have you ever had any encounters with UFOs or fae, as in fairies, gnomes, goblins?
Never fairies, never gnomes. Although that sounds amazing. That would be like so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Like the fae folk, like that, like the little people sort of thing.
I didn't know that was real. I didn't know that. That's really
cool.
Yeah. UFOs. I don't want to say like, okay, I saw this thing flying in the sky, but I definitely remember. I think it was in 2000, either 1999 or 2000. I was really little, very young, in I think just starting middle school, and I remember this was my other grandma's house by the way, and it's like weird even like wait a second, this is my other grandma's house. Coming out of her house, it was super late at night, and something caught my eye. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Whoosh, but I don't know. How do you describe seeing a whoosh? And it was like crystal clear, zero clouds outside, but it looked like a big chunk of the sky just went like this. Like when you're taking a picture and you're trying to refocus it and you tap your phone. Whatever that. Describe that better than I did, and it's just like, wait a second, you know, and I'm young. It's not like I was an adult and I was drinking or something. I'm little, and I remember looking up, something caught my eye. I'm staring at the sky, and then just for like a split second, it was like whoosh.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know.
That sounds like. See, I've never heard of anything like that. Not like the sky physically moving. That sounds. Like,
Yeah, it was like
not.
Yeah, it wasn't the entire sky. It was like
No, but it's like a section of it. But it's
like a section or like like almost like a
yeah,
shape.
it's like but you couldn't see the shape. Yeah, right. I get you now.
Like I would say circular, but massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know how to describe that. And it's not like moving across. It's not like
no, it just like supersonic sort of, like when you see the supersonic of a jet when it does the boom.
Okay, I didn't know there was a word for that. Yeah,
I might be making it up. I don't know.
Yeah,
but you know when you see a jet when it's doing, is it like Mach 2 or Mach 3, and it goes past, and then you get the aftershock.
Okay,
like,
yeah,
kind of like boof,
yeah,
kind of like that.
Yeah, we're talking about. I'm describing you. It's like super interesting because I have these experiences, or have these affairs, and it's like I'm too busy. I just have to go the next day. I have to work on the next time.
I haven't got time to think about it.
Yeah, I didn't know there was like terminology for some of the things I've seen. I didn't know there were like instances that other people have seen very similar things, and there's definitions for them. And so it makes me very curious to want to read about it more. I didn't know that other people went through this too.
Oh, yeah, you'll be surprised, because I still believe that even though, excuse me, all these people that come forward as witnesses are carrying somebody else's story, because that person is, for whatever reason, they don't want to personally share it, but they're happy for somebody else to talk about it. I still believe that there are more people that are not sharing it than those who are.
I mean, I was people.
I was.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about half of mine for 20, nearly 30. Some of them I'd forgotten till like last year, the year before. Completely forgot about them.
Yeah,
it's just.
It sucks that it's like that. And the more, we're talking about this, the more I think about it, it's like, is that another stigma, right? There's so many different kinds of stigmas. Like I talk about, this film I'm helping produce called Basil King. I'm talking about like, how cool would it be to do the premiere of what we're filming and have a charitable event centered around men's mental health, because it's like there's so many platforms for teenagers and for people who've experienced suicidal thoughts. There's so many platforms for pregnant women. There's platforms for people who are, contemplating changing their gender or their sexuality. But it's like, how many platforms are out there for men? Just like men are strong and they've got it, and you're good, like, man up, right? So stuff like that. Like, there's stigmas about everything. It's like what you can or can't talk about, when you can or can't talk about it, all emotional or like past traumas like PTSD. But why is there a stigma to talk about stuff that you can't explain? Like, why does it immediately make you different or weird? And so maybe that, I told you about my Catholic upbringing. It's like, well, that's clearly why I didn't openly talk about it. It's because, like, I don't want, people to start praying over my body and be like, rosary. But now that more people out there that don't talk about it, well, why not?
Yeah.
So,
it's social. It's kind of like social brainwashing. You're told what you can and can't talk about. You're told, like, the social aspect to it. Well, you can't talk about this, but you can talk about. It's like what's politically correct and what isn't. And it's like everything. It's just, as long as you word it right and you don't offend anyone when you talk about it, it shouldn't matter what you talk about. It's all to do with how you say. It's not what you say, it's how it's said and the context that it's used. Makes a massive, massive difference. And as long as you can do that, then everything's open to talk about. I believe, anyway.
And that stinks. That yeah.
Yeah.
That you can't just like openly talk about it with whatever you're feeling or however you're feeling. It's like you have to word it a certain way.
Yeah.
Don't offend anybody about it. It's like
Yeah. Yeah. Too many people are getting upset. That's the problem. For the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But
well, I know what my whatever that was called, ENFP personality. There's all these acronyms. I don't really know what it means.
This sounds, I haven't got a clue. I said I'm going to do one. It'll probably come up. Be what like yours. You're a dolphin or something like that. It won't even be human. It'll have like no attributes to it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Just be like, tell me what animal I am. But yeah, I'll have a blast. See what it says. But I just want to say a massive thank you for coming back on. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Anybody who's watching, if y'all experience some glitchy stuff, thanks for sticking it out, because this was super fun and like very freeing to get to like just talk about it randomly. I've opened up here and there to like very few celebrities about this or that, but I've never just like laid all of the things out on the table all at once in a timeline, nonetheless.
Yeah. And did you feel comfortable doing it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's all right then.
Yeah.
I was getting a bit worried then.
I think if you had asked me to do this 20 years ago, I'd be like, no, I don't want people to.
Yeah. No, totally get it. But like I said, I've said it loads of times before, the reason that I started doing this channel, because I've had so many encounters. I'm still having them now, but I can work it out better than what I could, obviously, when they first started, because I didn't have a clue what was going on. So if I can openly talk about what I've gone through, hopefully that'll open the door for other people who are, I suppose, worried, scared, feel like they're going to get ridiculed, people take the mickey out of them and get slated for it, get told they're a liar, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter. For me, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. You know what you encountered. You know how you felt at that time and what the emotions were. Even like whether you was on your own or with somebody else, regardless, it doesn't matter. It's just, I think it's nice just to be able to open up and talk about it. Not, I suppose, kind of relive it, because when I talk about mine, I go back to that point where I was. So I get as much detail in it as I can as to what happened. And I think that way, it's like when they say, if you're angry, write it down, write on a piece of paper, and you get it out your system. And it's the same sort of thing as doing this.
Yeah, it feels like a breath of fresh air. I don't remember if I told you during this interview or previously, but like the amount of nightmares I have, I have crazy vivid dreams. The amount that are nightmares, I feel is not normal. Or maybe just like, I'm not going to tell everybody I have nightmares all the time, right? It's like something wrong with you. But also, it could be like people have told me as well. It's like just whatever stress you're going through, whatever emotions, they're just coming out in dream form, It doesn't mean you're broken. It just means that you're tired.
It's just you getting it out of your system. It's the same sort of thing. That's what I believe anyway. So, but yeah, we are going to have to end it now, unfortunately. I'd love to chat all night, but it's just can't do it, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll speak to you again soon.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Just let me know. Thank you to anybody who's watching and stuck through the glitches and stuff. And thank you to who asked about that little quiz or questionnaire.
That was Wayne. No, it's all good. I'm going to try it after. So thank you everyone. Thank you, Sheilava. Thank you everyone in the chat. Thank you to the new people that we're chatting and watching. Really do appreciate it. Just quickly, for those who don't know, the membership on YouTube has gone. I have opened Patreon, so you can join new member so far. All the details are on YouTube and Facebook. Channel's still going to carry on going. There's just not going to be any membership or super chat in there, but you can do it via the other two platforms. So we've got PayPal and Patreon. So I will be back next. I don't know when I'm going to be back next because I haven't got anything in front of me. So I'll be back at some point next week. That's all I know.
Yeah, you got into your holiday. Don't even worry about when you're going to be.
Yeah, I'll be back sometime next week. That's it. That's all I can remember. So yeah, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you at some point next week. And thanks again, Sheilava. Absolutely loved it.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Goodbye.